Well, welcome. I'm so glad you took time out of your busy schedule to join us today. I always really strive to bring you interesting guests with stories that are going to empower you in your life so that you can negotiate your best life. And today is definitely no exception. We're going to be talking today with Dr. Patricia Smith about from rock bottom to resilience, the feminine power of negotiating your life back. So, welcome, Patricia. I'm so glad you could join us.
Yes, ma'am.
And today's guest, for those of you who don't know her, is a true force of nature. Dr. Smith is transformed from a life marked by abandonment, abuse, and homelessness in Spanish Town, Jamaica, into the powerhouse CEO of a multi-million dollar home healthcare company in New York. She's the author of I Persist, and she's a passionate advocate for mental health and women's empowerment. So you can see why I wanted her here today. All of those align with things I feel very deeply about. And her story is one of profound resilience, but also mixed with unshakable hope. And Patricia's here today to talk about what it takes to write your story, to rewrite your story, and how to negotiate from a place of vulnerability and why success truly has no age limit. So, Patricia, you've been described as the ultimate feminine negotiator. Can you take us back to the moment where you realized that you weren't just surviving, but negotiating your way to a better life?
Well, I learned at a very young age that if it was to be, it was entirely up to me.
Mm, nice.
And so I began to really fight my way through. I was abandoned, as you mentioned earlier, and I had no one. So I said, I got to get an education
Yeah.
first and foremost. I don't know what inspired me to do that, but I said I need an education as my basic platform to build on.
Yeah.
So I kept going to school, and at first I didn't work too much because the illness, being suffering from depression, really held me back.
Of course.
Really was a big challenge. And so I draw on this word that I really didn't know much about at the time. And I'm not sure if most people have heard about it. It's called SISU, SISU.
Hmm.
And SISU is that inner strength
Yeah.
that most people don't even know they have until they're faced with adversity,
Yeah.
suffering, or frustration. And when you come upon those adversity, suffering, frustration, you have to dig deep, deep down to find that strength to
Yeah.
go on. And so I dug deep, I found my strength, and I decided that, getting up and going to work on a day-to-day basis did not work for me
Yeah.
because I had to work with my illness.
Yeah.
And so I took that time, that downtime that I wasn't working to start my own company.
Yeah.
Started my own company, not intending to be any millionaire, just to work with what I have
Yeah.
and to thrive and survive. And the company turned out to be one big surprise $1 million company.
It's such a great story. I love it. And I think,
Surprised me.
yeah.
It surprised me
Yeah,
because it was
I bet.
not the intention.
But
The
it,
intention was to work with what I have. This is what you've
yeah.
been dished. This is a
Yeah.
lemon that you got, so
Yeah.
do something with it.
But
And
it's
I,
such an inspiration for people, I think, to take that. You were just looking to survive, but with that resilience, you ended up thriving. And I think your story is kind of a masterclass in negotiating from a perceived position of weakness. So, what would you say to our listeners and generally, but I'd say women in particular who feel maybe like they've lost their power or they don't have power? What would be your advice to them?
they've got to dig deep.
Yeah.
You've got to dig deep.
Yeah.
Dig deep because we all have it.
Yes.
We all have that inner determination, that strength. We all have it. And we don't know we have it
Yeah.
until we're faced with these adversities, suffering,
Yeah.
frustration. I'm Jamaican, One of the famous saying that I stick to is a quote from our very own Bob Marley.
Yeah.
He said, "You never know how strong you are until being strong is your only option."
Yeah. I love it. Ironically, I was just having that conversation with my son moments before we came on this this call together, saying, quit portraying yourself as a victim. Like dig deep to find the strength that you have, because if you choose to portray yourself and see yourself as a victim, you're going to continue to attract that. And I think towards it, you speak a lot about the power of hope, not as a feeling, but as a tool, which I thought was really powerful. So, can you talk to us a bit about how hope can be used as, a negotiation strategy? And I don't just mean in business, but in life, particularly when the odds seem stacked against us.
So you always hope for the best.
Yeah,
I always shoot for the best. And then if less comes, then I'll deal with it. But my hope is always to do my very best, whatever it is I'm doing.
yeah,
I always make an effort to be one of the best. If not the best, I'm
yeah.
one of the best.
Yeah. I love that advice. And again, for our listeners, think about, are you trying to be the best version of yourself every day? In every conversation, in every whatever, are you trying? So I really pose that for our listeners there. And I wanted to touch on, because I thought your story was so interesting, Patricia, that like I think many people equate, and it's one of the reasons I started this podcast, because most people equate negotiation with power plays, right? Asserting dominance. And to me at least, and I could be wrong, but your life seems to be a testament to the strength of persistence and relationship building and being of service. So I was wondering, how do you feel like these, so-called feminine traits of relationship building and that create better outcomes? What are your thoughts on that?
You know, there's no power play. I go in feeling confident, plan to do my best, execute my best, and most of the time I come out on top because I have already gone in with a positive attitude that I am going to win. And I mean, I don't care what you come with your power play. I come in with my confidence and feeling great about the negotiation and feeling that I'm on top of my game here
Yeah.
and I'm going to win.
Yeah.
That confidence, you have to come in with that confidence.
Yeah. And that's such a mindset thing, right? And I think your journey, sort of going from homelessness to CEO, I assume required you to reframe your own internal narrative. So, and talk to us a bit about that. What role did your, I'd call it an inner negotiation play in changing your mindset?
I am very persistent, hence the title of my book.
Yeah.
I am very persistent. If I want to get through this door, I will not stop knocking, kicking, beating it until I get through
Yeah.
because that is what I want. And I won't take the first one or two no's.
Yeah.
I just feel there must be a better answer than no.
Yeah. Yes.
You know,
I love that.
maybe later or something, but that just flat out no.
Yeah. Yeah.
I come in feeling that I am deserving. I have the qualities you need. I have the background. And so no is really not an option.
I love it. I remember getting great advice once, saying when you're faced with no and somebody who's stuck in, to just say, what would it take for you to turn that no to a yes, right? And then you start being able to work from it. And one of the things that really attracted me, I'm a big advocate for mental health issues. I think, we pay a lot of lip service to taking care of mental health, and we still don't in North America, certainly. It's still, there's a lot of stigma attached. And as a mental health advocate yourself, how do you view the relationship between mental health and negotiation power, like our ability to get what we need in life?
It depends on the mental health that you're suffering. Mine is mostly anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
And in some ways that can limit you in your
Yeah.
negotiation. But if you come in with a positive attitude and you know very well that you have the background, you have the experience, you have the exposure, and this is something that you want and can do. You push that forward
Yeah.
and try your best to push down those other limiting reagents, like, feeling anxiety and feeling sad in the moment. You come in with a hard punch
Yeah.
and you go for it.
And that hope that you talked about earlier, I imagine helps with that
Yeah,
too. I think that's a
of
great
course.
mindset shift. And I just want to thank you and call out like for being so open and vulnerable talking about it. I think, like I say, we've got a long history of mental health issues in our family and people are so uncomfortable talking about it. They're worried about it limiting. And I love that you're so open about it because I think that's the only thing that's going to change those conversations, right? Is when we
Right.
start being a little more open
No.
about it. Now,
Before I became a businesswoman, my background, I'm a trained registered nurse.
yeah,
And we have been told in our training that the first step in getting well is to admit
yes,
you have a problem.
yes,
As you're saying, if people are feeling ashamed about their challenges
yeah,
and they're going to be hampered by that. But if you say, yeah, this is my problem and this is what I'm working with,
yeah.
and fight your way through.
Yeah, yeah. And I think when we're open, we're always taught to hold our cards close to our chest. Don't show any weakness. And I find the opposite is true. When we show our vulnerability, when we're open and honest and transparent, people typically respond, right? I mean, then it opens the door for more space to get better, more creative kind of outcomes. And speaking of others, like you often say that negotiating for others' well-being help pave the path to your own success. And I'm a big advocate of that. I think when we come from that place of service, it can be a superpower and certainly has been for you. Can you speak to that about how coming from a place of service has been a negotiation superpower for you?
Sure. The care I provide in my company are for people who they're sick, disabled, or they have special needs and they're homebound.
Yeah,
So they're homebound. And one of the things I have to do is negotiating the best care for them and the best number of hours.
yeah,
And so when I start out with the insurance company, I have to put that forward and say, this is the need.
yeah,
These are the number of hours I think will best suit this person and get them back to their wellness state.
yeah,
So that is where my background comes from, that medical piece where I have to fight for you,
yeah,
fight with the doctors, the social workers, or whoever advocate, whoever, all the other people that are involved in your care. I need to put that out. I even write the letters depicting a picture of
yeah,
what your needs are.
yeah,
And that's a negotiation to get
yeah.
the care.
Oh, layers on layers of negotiation, right? Absolutely. That healthcare system, especially. Now, what advice do you have? I mean, I love you're still thriving and you're, sort of you and I are both in the sort of the later half of our life, shall we say. And what advice would you have for our listeners out there who are of a certain age who maybe feel like it's too late for them to rewrite their story or reclaim their power? What advice would you have for them?
It's never too late.
Yeah.
The late is when you're dead.
So
Once
good.
there is life, there is hope,
Yeah.
and you keep pushing forward because no one else is going to do that for you.
Yeah.
If you sit there on this pity pot, oh, I'm too old, I'm too ugly, I'm too this, I'm too that, you'll never move forward.
Yeah.
And you've got to dig deep
Yeah.
for your inner strength and move forward.
Yeah. It's funny, everything you've said so far, digging deep, having the persistence, having the confidence, and having the hope, right? We just had somebody at one of our literary events who published her first novel with a really big publisher. It's like 70 years old. So, she was just starting that new career at that stage of her life. So I love your advocacy about that. Now, do you have any negotiation strategies that you sort of teach or live by today that might have surprised your younger self?
It's called social awareness. So social awareness is when you observe the mood, the tone of the other folks around you, and you also is aware of your mood,
Yeah.
and you use that to control the situation.
Yeah.
No, you keen listener,
Yeah.
listening, observing, and once you identify the mood, then you work with that.
Yeah.
And I did not have those skills as when I was younger. I'm
Yeah.
acquired that along the way. Emotional intelligence.
Yes. Well, and I'm glad you hit on that, and especially for any of our listeners who are younger or frankly across the scale, because I think we don't learn this well, and particularly in North America, we don't listen well. We feel like we're winning if we're the person talking the loudest and the longest. And Dr. Smith is so right on about this. Be aware and, in fact, prepare before going in. Learn what you can about the other person, what their needs are, what their fears are, what their triggers are, how you can be of service to them. I mean, being aware and truly listening to other people is going to get you more of what you want at the end as well. So I think that's such beautiful, beautiful advice. Now, what would you say is one of the greatest negotiations you've ever had in your life? And by that, I don't mean where you were a fabulous negotiator, but just something where you maybe learned a lot about yourself or negotiation, whether personal or professional, if you can share.
When I was starting my business, I remember the reviewer came from the Department of Health and wrote up our assessment and said I did not have the ability to do that kind of business.
Yeah.
And I thought, you're out of your mind. I have the education, I have the experience, I have the exposure, and in a few hours, 3 hours, you're going to determine my
Yeah.
ability? Hell no, that is not happening.
Yeah.
And I fought. I wrote letters I got an attorney
Yeah.
and I wrote letters to the Department of Health and I shut that down. If I did not fight
Yeah.
and negotiate so firmly, I
Yeah.
would not have been a millionaire today.
Wow. What a great lesson. And again, for our listeners, I challenge you to think about how many times in your life have you been told that you can't do something or that you're not good enough and you just accepted it and skulked away as opposed to that's the time to, as Dr. Smith keeps telling us, dig deep and self-advocate, and
Right.
and I'm saying normally I don't like sort of aspire it to gender, but I think women in particular have been conditioned to play small and don't rock the boat, and we're much more likely to just accept whatever's thrown at. Advocate, self-advocate. It's the difference. Look at with Dr. Smith here to become a millionaire in her business because she believed in herself. She kept that hope. She was persistent and she self-advocated about it. So I love that. So tell us quickly a little bit about your book, I Persist. What can people expect from it?
Okay. The book is really to encourage and inspire women in particular to greatness.
Mm, love that.
It's basically saying, no matter what your starting point, success can still be your end point. And you should really work with what you have.
Yeah.
We're not all, we weren't born perfect.
Yeah. That's for sure.
And whatever it is we have, work with it so that you can be your best self.
Mm. Such a powerful message, and we could all use more of that these days, especially. I feel like in the last bit, we've lost so much ground so quickly after so much fighting. So,
Trying to be perfect.
yeah,
Work with what you have.
yeah, that's
Make myself, I didn't give myself those challenges. That's how I was born.
yeah,
And so I work with what I have. So I want to encourage people and inspire them to greatness. You
yeah,
can be great. We are all born with special talents, and we just need to dig deeper and find it and work with it. what we have.
I love it. And where can our listeners find your book, Patricia, or connect with you to learn more about your work and your message?
It's on Amazon and a few other sites, but mostly you'll find it on Amazon.
Beautiful, beautiful. And as always, I'm a big fan of independent books. So for those of you who have independent bookstores in your area, ask them to bring the book in. It's a great way to raise awareness for Dr. Smith and her messaging, and also to help support your independent bookstores as well. So I normally like to end, Patricia, by asking, what's one of the greatest mindset shifts you've ever had? Doesn't have to be about anything in your book or what we talked about, but one of those aha moments that has you think about things differently.
Aha moments. I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
No one is perfect. And again, work with what you have.
Yeah.
Like, I'll try to be my best self. I know I'm not perfect, but I work with the best I have.
Yeah. I love that message. It's funny. It's such a simple concept, but that is the first time I've done hundreds of these episodes. It is the first time I've had anybody give that answer, and I love it. And for our listeners, I want you to take a minute and really think about we beat ourselves up so often, or we let other people beat us up, or we stop ourselves from stepping into the full force of our power because we assume we have to be perfect, or we're so busy pretending that we're perfect, or lamenting that we're not perfect. So recognize it out of the gate. You're not perfect. You're not going
That's
to
right.
be perfect. I love that message. I love that. Well,
Yes.
Patricia, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your life story with us and giving us all of these gems to think about so we can live better lives. Thank you.
Okay.
And for our listeners out there, I'm sure you got lots of benefit from this episode. And if this episode maybe lit a fire in you and you're ready to stop playing small and start negotiating bigger, think about coming to work with me, whether it's one-on-one in one of our powerful group sessions or through my online programs. I've got you covered. Tap into that feminine power of yours and start getting more of you what you want and deserve without apology. If you're in, head to artoffemininenegotiation.com to check it out. And make sure to grab a copy of my book, Art of Feminine Negotiation, as well. And we'll make sure to put the links for Patricia's book in our show notes, as well as how you can get in touch with her. And thanks for tuning in to the Art of Feminine Negotiation. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please subscribe, rate, and share. And remember, negotiation isn't just a skill, it's a mindset. One that's rooted in empathy, intuition, and yes, even hope. And until next time, as always, go forth and negotiate your best life on purpose and with purpose so you can stop missing out and start getting more of what you want and deserve from the boardroom to the bedroom. Until next time, take care.